In this forecast, a pattern change will bring cooler weather and isolated severe weather this weekend. Hurricane K in the Pacific Ocean may bring huge relief to California soon, and the first snow of the season may fall in the Rocky Mountains tomorrow. And Hurricane Earl is about to become our first major hurricane of the season. Where is it heading? All of that and more is coming right up. We have a very busy forecast today, but let's first begin with that pattern change that's going to set up everything that's going to happen this upcoming weekend. First to begin, we're going to begin to see a little area of cold air drop out of Canada. That's actually going to come from a trough that is positively tilted. It's actually going to be a little cold front that will come through portions of the United States. It'll bring the biggest difference, though, to areas like Wyoming, as well as even in the northern plains, where temperatures could even go below freezing, which might even bring some snow to some areas. So it's going to be a pretty interesting weekend ahead. Eventually going into next week, we'll start to see that cold air still lag but drop down into areas like the southern plains, might enter into Oklahoma and northern Texas. Temperature drop maybe 5 to 10 degrees. It won't be a major difference, but it'll definitely be beneficial for those that are looking for a cool down. And eventually going to next week, that cooler air will move across areas like the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Now there is, as I mentioned before, a chance for snow in Wyoming, specifically the Bighorn National Forest. A higher elevation does have a better chance for some snow going into the overnight hours tonight. Now, one thing to note is that, again, this is going to probably be away from the interstate and the highways, so it shouldn't impact a whole lot of people, but you can eventually see that snow beginning to fall going into most likely tomorrow morning. There even could be a little bit in portions of South Dakota. Again, in higher elevations, there may be some accumulative snow. Now, as of right now, the Weather Prediction Center is forecasting about a 50% chance that we could see 4 inches or greater in these areas, so there very well could be some accumulative snow as high as 4 to 8 inches. One computer model, the European model, is currently showing the potential for actually a good amount of snow, anywhere from 4 to 8 inches. Now, again, that's just one computer model. We could very well see a little bit less than that, but it's definitely a lot of snow for this time of the year. And by the way, the temperature difference is going to be incredible. You can see areas actually in Wyoming today are supposed to get into the mid 80s for high temperatures today, but look at tomorrow, a major difference. We're talking 50s and 60s for highs, and that's going to be the big difference maker between the potential for some snow tomorrow and, again, primarily the higher elevations just west of the interstate. Now, there is some major relief coming to California. As of right now, Hurricane K is a few hundred miles away from California, but it is moving in that direction. It's actually very close to actually making landfall near the Baja California. Now, regardless of it making landfall, it is still forecasted to bring some big relief to California. As of right now, it is a hurricane with sustained winds around 85 miles per hour. It is going to be moving towards California. Now, it will not bring hurricane force winds or anything like that to California, but it might bring some gusty winds as well as a lot of moisture and a big cool down. What is really needed for California right now is a cool down and rain. So that's probably going to come out of this over the next 48 hours, maybe 72 hours as it moves off to the northwest. As of right now, dew points across California, especially back up in central California, are in the 30s and 40s. Going into this weekend, though, dew points will start to rise into the 50s, maybe some 60s, Cave will at some 70s along Southern California. Now, what will that bring overall? It might bring some rain chances, but it's also going to bring a big cool down to California. More on that here in just a second. You can eventually see, though, going to late Thursday into Friday, a couple of isolated showers near Los Angeles. Eventually going into Friday, more showers and maybe even some isolated storms moving off to the north and northwest. And eventually maybe even going into late Friday into Saturday, rain may even increase for areas like California, especially along the coastline near Los Angeles. Now, San Francisco, will they see rain? It's still up for grabs, but most likely not, but they might see an isolated shower or two, maybe going to early Saturday. Here's a look at the temperatures, by the way. Today, you can see record-breaking temperatures in the low to even upper 100s as of right now, from about 101 to 108 across the region. Eventually going to Saturday, the temperatures will be much cooler by about 15 degrees in some areas near Fresno, and as well as even maybe near San Jose, down into 84 degrees. So big relief coming. And eventually going to next Wednesday, temperatures will be much more seasonably average for this time of the year, with 70s along the coast, even some 60s, and as well as 80s inland. So a big difference coming there for California, which is much needed as of right now. Now, going into tomorrow, there is actually a low chance for a couple of tornadoes across areas like the southeast. That would include Georgia, as well as Florida, and as well as even portions of extreme southern South Carolina. Again, main concern tomorrow, isolated damaging winds, maybe a couple of tornadoes. There was a lot of tornado warnings this morning, by the way, in Florida. So obviously, that's definitely a possibility that we could see maybe a couple of tornadoes tomorrow. Here's a look at the timing. So going into later tonight into tomorrow, we'll eventually see some storm activity entering the coastline, most likely tomorrow morning. Eventually, that tornado potential will increase a little bit going to the afternoon. which again, that might bring the potential for an isolated tornado or two. Brief and weak occurrences are possible, but we're not looking at anything strong. Just make sure you're mindful of that, have a plan in place just in case. It's a very low chance, but it's definitely something to monitor pretty closely. Lastly, we do have Hurricane Earl currently. It's only a few hundred miles south of Bermuda. It is expected to bring some pretty significant impacts now to Bermuda. As of right now, it is a Category 2 hurricane. It is likely to become our first major hurricane of the season, probably within the next 12 to 24 hours. The circulation is definitely increasing. You can see a lot of convection around this as well. That will continue to move off to the north pretty slowly. It will pick up speed as it passes by Bermuda. You can see going to Friday morning, the most significant impacts are expected for Bermuda. There is a hurricane watch in effect for Bermuda, and as well as a tropical storm warning. So sustained winds are likely to reach tropical storm levels. Storm surge likely be significant, and some swells are expected as well. Now to the east coast, there will be some swells this weekend because of this hurricane. So keep that in mind if you're going out to the beach this weekend. Anywhere along the east coast, you could see some swells. Now looking at the entire Atlantic tropics, we do have two areas of development. Neither of them are planned to go anywhere near the United States, so no concerns on those as of right now. We do still have ongoing tropical storm Danielle in the northern Atlantic. It is going to become subtropical as it moves towards Spain, so it might be something to watch for those in Europe, but otherwise no impacts expected to the United States. This forecast is brought by Platinum Contracting and All Dense Repair.